You're commuting home with Katz and Cosby. Now, here's John Katzimatidis and Rita Cosby on 77 WABC.
Let's go to Congresswoman Kat Cammack, who joins us now from Florida. I love her. That's why we love her. Congresswoman, you're like me, so go ahead.
What am I coming into here?
I love it, Congresswoman. Bring it on, baby. You can tell I'm revved up today. Your thoughts about all this?
Yeah, you are.
You're not
Congresswoman, go ahead. Your thoughts.
Listen, I'm like you guys. I was pissed off. I don't know if I can say that on air, but I just did. But last night I was angry. And being a good millennial, I immediately started cruising the internet for any sort of trace of information about this guy once we got his name. And there was a lot of information that got posted out to social media. And I think we have to be exceptionally careful to maintain that credibility in what we're posting. And so I wanted to make sure that we were double checking, triple checking that this was the person, that this was real, it was authentic, because it really speaks to his motivation. And one piece that I was able to actually grab before Mark Zuckerberg and the Meta team shut his accounts down was a post from a couple years ago where he posted a map of Israel, but it said that it was a map of Palestine. And he made some obscure off-the-wall comment effectively to the point of, he said, well, it looks like Israel never existed in the first place, which to me immediately, the hair on the back of my neck stood up. My red flags are going off. Immediately I'm thinking, this guy harbors some serious anti-Semitic beliefs. And he knows that President Trump will always stand with Israel. And so that was something that stood out to me about this guy and his motivations. He's clearly a disturbed individual. You have to be in order to be in a position to do what he did. And so I think that's something important to point out, that now that it has been verified that was in fact his account, his actual postings, that we need to talk about that. The second thing is, and you brought it up, was the rhetoric. There has been far too much anti-Trump rhetoric in the media, so much so that last night, and I was just so angry. And of course, I think we preach to the choir too much as conservatives. So I flipped on CNN to see what the other side was saying. And it was disgusting. Erin Burnett said at one point in an interview, she said, listen, this may be crass, but let's be clear. This is also he can raise money, effectively insinuating that Donald Trump planned this, that this has all been a setup, like it's some giant conspiracy theory, that they, the CNN talking head, bear no responsibility for their role in ratcheting up the environment and the temperature in the country as it relates to Donald Trump and political violence. It's just disgusting. It's so bad. And I think we need to be digging into this guy's background. But I mean, Americans need to be outraged for the failures. We need to be holding the media accountable, but also those damn members of Congress that have been saying that he's a threat to democracy for how many years? 8+ years now? What did they expect was going to happen?
Yeah, Kat, this is former Congressman Pete King. Great to have you on. I agree with you totally on the rhetoric. If you're calling a guy Hitler, a Nazi, a fascist, who wants to bring down the government, that's just going to inspire all those wackos sitting down in the basement, or guys who have mental issues to begin with, people who want to make a name for themselves. So you're right. The rhetoric, they got to tone that down on the other side. They got to cut it back. It's really disgraceful. And the fact that the media goes along with it, to me, makes it even worse.
Yes, 1,000%. I mean, and I think the Trump team did a very good job compiling a list of examples in the last year alone where members of Congress, sitting senators, prominent figures in the Democrat Party, and media had called Donald Trump and Republicans a threat to democracy, going so far as to say he needed to be eliminated. A New York congressman, Dan Goldman, he himself said Donald Trump needed to be eliminated. Has he come out and apologized? No. It's funny, they're all radio silent when it comes to this kind of stuff. But the second that there's anything else, it's always, a political statement. Now, you don't hear a word from these people.
Congresswoman Kat Cammack of Florida, I have to read you this post because this just, I was so furious. This is from Alexander Vindman's wife. Everybody's talking about this. He was a staffer, remember, who kind of had obviously.
She's running for Congress.
And she's running for, thank you for reminding, that's right. She's running for Congress in Virginia, right, Pete? Yes, in Pete.
District 7, yeah.
Exactly, in Virginia. Here's what she said. Running for Congress in Virginia, right after the shooting, within minutes. No ears were harmed. Carry on with your Sunday afternoon. How disgusting is that, Congresswoman Kat Cammack? That is shameful.
It is. It's so disgusting that I saw her tweet and I reposted it with a little note to the Twitter X universe saying her brother-in-law is running for Congress. Please help end his campaign by donating to the true patriot in the race, Derek Anderson. And I sent out his campaign link to donate. And now 122,000 people from around the country have viewed that tweet, and they're donating. And I was just talking to Derek Anderson right before this interview, asking if there's been any developments on his end. And he said, honestly, people need to understand how much of a problem this man is, that he is raising so much money from dark money, big government, swamp type sources, and he needs a lot of help. So donate to Derek Anderson, everybody. If you don't want that total swamp creature who has continually
and to say this rhetoric is just despicable. John?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something from my experience. A guy like this is going out recruiting Afghanistanis to fight in Ukraine. Somebody's paying for him.
Well, and that's why I brought up the license plate, John, because there was a lot of planning. And also, listen, we all know that President Trump, everybody knows he likes to golf.
It could be the Iranians. It could be the Pakistanis. It could be anybody.
But I'll tell you one other thing. This is interesting that I heard today. This was from the sheriff who was in the press conference today. He just said a little bit ago that he cannot rule out that there may be somebody else, because he keeps going back to the fact that the guy was there 12 hours, that changed license plates. He also goes to the fact that this guy, that we didn't know that Trump was going to be. Trump does golf a lot on Sundays. I have been to that course, so I know that course. But the issue is even some of his own campaign staff didn't know he was still in West Palm Beach, didn't know he was golfing. It was a private. It wasn't on the schedule. What are your questions right now, Congresswoman?
Well, certainly, that's the thing. There's so many things that we don't have the answers to, and I'm very curious if he is talking to law enforcement. Is he completely lawyered up and shut down? What is the current status? We really don't have a clear sense of what the progression has been in the investigation up until this point. Tomorrow we will be in Congress receiving a briefing, hopefully about what the latest is. I know the speaker has spoken to President Trump, and we've just been getting some stuff back channeled to us in the meantime. But, to your point, though, I mean, I myself have been to that golf course. It is right there on a very, very busy road. And so this guy, if he is as mentally unstable as we all believe he is, it's not so far-fetched that he has, he stood there for 12 hours. We know his cell phone was pinging there for 12 hours. And there could be a number of reasons for that. But
yep.
I think that he's probably done the most logical reasoning in my mind in how he found out that Trump was there. If you get around,
we have a retired. Was he Secret Service now?
He's Secret Service. Yeah. Oh wait, he's calling back now. Shortly, he's calling back now. What would be the big questions you'd have for him? He's going to be joining us in a second.
Question that I would have would be: is the only advanced work that the Secret Service is providing, is it literally just immediately in the moment, or are they doing advanced planning and scouting of a location hours in advance? Who is responsible on the ground? Is it the Miami field office that is coordinating advanced teams? How much of the local law enforcement are they relying on? And once again, I come back to this. We saw this as a failure in the Pennsylvania rally that President Trump was shot. What kind of communication barriers have there continued to be that have prevented them from being more proactive in these situations? I mean, that's just some of the things that I would want to know. But I think to your point, John, you talked about Iran. I now am thinking with your sense as well as what I saw myself, that post, and I'll text it to you. This man seems to harbor some very, very strong opinions about Israel not existing.
Somebody's paying them.
Yeah, that's interesting. Wow.
Okay, let's move on. Thank you, Kat.
Congresswoman, thank you. We love you. You're great.
Janine Pirro here for Colonial Metals Group. Colonial Metals Group helps Americans protect their future with the most trusted store of wealth in human history, physical gold and silver. If you're retiring or retired, go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/Pirro for your free Janine Pirro Colonial Metals Group Retirement Protection Kit, or call 800-965-8004. 800-965-8004 now to receive a free home safe and up to $7,500 in free silver.